Nobody, as I was growing up, 18 years old or 19 years old, would look at me and say, this guy is going to build a company that does 30 million in revenue one day.
And today's episode, we have a good friend of mine, Ruben Resendez, who we've shared an office for a very long time. So I've had a chance to watch his entrepreneurial journey, and as he has had a chance to watch mine. And I've been amazed at the growth of his company as well as of himself. So one of the amazing stories about this guy is it's literally a rags to riches story. So, at his lowest point, he probably had $500 in your pocket, food stamps. Yep. And now today you're doing over $30 million in revenue. You're the president of adHere. adHere is a company that helps universities and colleges lower their cost of enrollment for students, right?
That's right.
You taught yourself media buying and created adHere from that. Funny thing, I'm a self-taught designer who has a design agency. Your company now spends over $500,000 a month in advertising dollars. Is that correct, or is that more now?
We've now updated it to, on average, about 1.5 million a month.
Geez, so I have really old data. Yeah, you spend $1 million a month in ad buys, in Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, LinkedIn, TikTok too.
That's right. Yeah, dabbled a little bit in TikTok as well.
Yeah. And you won some amazing Silicon Valley awards, including Silicon Valley Business Journal's Fast Private 500 and the Inc. 500, mind you. And you're on the board of directors of Silicon Valley Capital Club, Emerging Executive Leadership Program, and the moderator of the Silicon Valley chapter of EO. Well, thank you. Welcome to the show. That was a mouthful. What else don't you do? You also help, I know I see it on your feed, you also help give back to the Latin community by giving talks to youths and stuff, and which I find really amazing. So again, thank you for having us on your show, and tell us what your day-to-day looks like these days.
For sure. It's kind of interesting, Peck, because I was trying to remember before coming on with you of, when we worked in that small little co-working space, kind of where my head was at that time and where I was financially at that time. That you probably didn't know this, that I was just coming off of food stamps at that point when you started seeing me in the office. And then I would stay late in the office too. But what I think is the best form of leadership is when a leader is able to bleed, but still with a smile on his face. That, one of the biggest things that I have to stress to so many people is that just because you're a leader or you've achieved certain things in your life, it doesn't shield you away from challenges that every single person that's walking on this earth is walking with some kind of challenge, no matter what level that you're at. Even when you're at the highest level, there's even bigger challenges that come along with that. So that's my biggest mission and my inspiration for being on the show with you, actually, is because my mission in life, I feel, is to motivate and inspire so many people that are out there that think that just because they grew up on the wrong side of the tracks, or because they grew up in a certain type of household, or nobody in their family's ever been an entrepreneur, or if they're a single parent, or if they're on food stamps, that they can't achieve something great with their life. Because I'm the proven example that you can do whatever you want to do as long as you focus on it and you never quit. Because I've been in all those situations. Also, to add on to my accolades, a college dropout as well. That nobody, as I was growing up, 18 years old or 19 years old, would look at me and say, this guy is going to build a company that does 30 million in revenue one day. And it's still just the very beginning too. So I'm excited to be on with you. You're a great friend, and we've been on an amazing journey together and seeing each other's growth. And I'm so excited to see your growth and everything that you have done, just even within the past year. And you continue to set the bar very high, that I'm just trying to live up to the bar that you've set.
It's the other way around, bro. And also and a single father at that, right?
Yeah. That's my proudest moment, actually, which at that time wasn't really my proudest moment, because how I started my business is I was an employee first. And, before I became employed, I was living on 1099, 100% commission doing financial services. So I was living on 100% commission, never really knew when my next paycheck was going to come. Then 2008 hits, and living here in Silicon Valley, the Bay Area, average house price at that time was $500,000. Now average house price is 1.2 million. But during the 2008 times, that's when a huge recession just happened. I was doing financial services, doing mortgages, doing loans, real estate, and everything just all dried up at that point. And in doing mortgages and loans and real estate, all my clients all dried up. So to top onto that, I also found out that the girl I was going out with for about 3 months was also going to have my son, my soon-to-be born son. So I said, great. I don't know where my next paycheck's going to be. I was spending stupid money and spending all my money, not saving any of it whatsoever. And I had about $500 in my pocket, $300, $500 in my pocket to my name that I owned. So I said, shoot, I got to go and get a job. I haven't had a job in probably about 6 years. I got to go get one of those jobs. I need a paycheck right away. So I looked on Craigslist and found this like internet marketing company and lead generation company. I had no idea what it was. I did financial services. Like I have no clue about internet marketing, and got into it, and then saw all these people who are like 20 years old, some of them 28, some of them 30, that were all these affiliates making money online, and we're sending them $250,000 checks every month. And there was thousands of them that we're sending $250,000 checks to every month that like I was managing as an affiliate manager. I said, I don't know what this is, but whatever it is, I need to become obsessed about finding out everything there is to find out about what these people do and how they do it.
I want to be on the other side, right?
Yeah. And like what I found is that like whenever you're obsessed about something, you're going to figure it out some way and somehow. I'm not the most talented individual, but I know I can work hard. I've got a great work ethic. I was born and raised on the east side of San Jose, where most people would say is the wrong side of the tracks. Nobody in my family ever came and built businesses or anything like that. My mom worked graveyard so she can make a couple extra dollars an hour. So I never learned how to build businesses, but what I did learn is hard work ethic, and that, whatever you lack in talent, you can make up in work ethic. And that's what I learned from my mom and from my grandparents, that like, some of them worked 2 or 3 jobs. My dad always, I never woke up before my dad. He was always up way before the sun woke up, very disciplined about everything. So I learned a lot of that, and then I took that into building a business. So back to the story about, getting hired with that job that I found on Craigslist, became obsessed about internet marketing, did that for about 3 years, started with a $30K salary. So I just needed a paycheck as soon as possible.
Silicon Valley, that's like so hard to live on.
It was a lot better than zero coming in the next month. So everything happens for a reason though, that, I just became obsessed and found my passion in internet marketing, that, it combined in what I was learning when I was going to college at San Jose State University, where I was studying management and info systems. I wanted to be behind a computer and like kind of be a programmer and all of that stuff. So I started learning that. Then I got into financial services, dropped out of college, started learning about sales. I was more introverted, so I had to learn how to communicate and talk with people. So I learned that in financial services. So when I saw internet marketing, I was like, oh man, it combines in the best of both worlds. It combines in what I wanted to do behind the computer and being able to do things behind the computer. But it also combined in, I could actually talk to people, but rather than speak to them verbally, I could actually talk to them through the screen, through copywriting, through ad copy and such too. So I learned that and became obsessed about it, working at that company for about 3 years until I eventually got myself fired to live on unemployment at that time. And man, unemployment, trying to build a business. I was over here trying to build a business at the same time while working on unemployment. And eventually that ran out, and moved my son and I back in with my parents. I hadn't lived with my parents in over a decade. And I always looked at my son that, he was born for a reason to point me in this direction. He was born for a reason to make sure that I go in the direction that I'm on right now, that I can't quit now. That even when I was on food stamps, living with my parents, trying to build this business, I knew that he was born for a reason to point me in this direction, that if I don't do it now, then when is it going to happen? I'm not going to get any younger. The opportunity is never going to be more right than it is right now to do it. That if I'm going to do it, I'm already at my lowest of low. I'm on food stamps and I'm broke living with my parents. That I was still getting job offers where people were going to pay me like $250,000 a year to work at their company and all that. And I turned them down because I knew my son was born for a reason to point me in this direction. And now to look back, that was, man, yeah. How long was it since we worked in that office that we first started coming? It's probably like 6-7 years. Yeah, 6-7 years now.
2011, 2012.
Wow. Yeah, almost 10 years now.
Almost 10
Yeah.
years. Yeah. Yeah. They,
Time flies. Time flies.
you need to
That's
make
crazy.
a book and they'll make it into a movie.
Eventually, as I get maybe a little bit more time, it'll possibly happen to. I definitely want to do that though, because my mission now is that everything happens for you. It doesn't happen to you. And I'm a proven example that at that time when I found out I was going to be a father from a woman that I barely knew for 3 months, I was thinking like, man, why me? Why does this have to happen right now? I'm not ready to be a dad. I don't have the financial means to be a dad. I don't have anything prepared to be a dad whatsoever. I still want to go and see the world and travel and everything. I haven't seen anything of the world. Like, why me? But then I started thinking, now that I look back at it, of like, why not me? If he wouldn't have been born, you and I wouldn't have been talking right now. You know, I wouldn't have been pointed in this direction, that everything falls in place. I think it's Steve Jobs that said, you can never connect the dots looking forward.
You can only connect them looking backwards.
And when I look back at all the challenges that I went through, even going on food stamps, I'm so glad that it happened, because it made me realize the value of money. You know, some people, they'll build businesses, it starts making $1 million and they'll spend it right away. They go and buy a Ferrari, they go buy a bigger house and all this different stuff. Since I went on food stamps, I valued a penny because it meant so much more to me. And still to this day, I value every single dollar that comes in. Every single dollar that every client that we work with gives to us, I value it so much more than if I didn't go on food stamps. I may not have valued it as much, especially coming from where I came from. You know, a lot of people who would come upon any kind of revenue that we see or money that we see would blow it right away, because they would go and try to buy things that they never experienced before. But I'm glad that I went on food stamps and went on the lowest low, because I respect everything so much more. So that's my total mission now, is that anybody who's in those situations that feel like they can't do something with their lives, for them to look at me and say like, man, if this freaking idiot can do it with all those challenges, why not me? Why not me?
Oh, you had a framework for overcoming them. And if someone didn't know you and you said, hey, I value every penny, it might come off as sounding cheap, but you're anything but cheap. I've seen how you treat your employees, that you treat them very well. Tell me about that 1 year, or maybe you do it all the time. You took your whole team and their family to where now?
The first year it was Hawaii. We decided that was the first year that we did it, that we're like, we're gonna do a mid-year retreat, company mid-year retreat. So we got our 4 little teammates together. It's gonna be everybody in their +1s and everything, all gonna come. We're gonna do a mid-year retreat in Hawaii.
Yeah.
So we got together and we did it. We're like, man, that was a blast. We hiked on Diamond Head. We spent every day together, the whole entire deal. Beautiful place, stayed in a beautiful hotel and everything. So then the next year, our team doubled in size. And the original team was saying, like, are we going to do a mid-year retreat again? That was fun in Hawaii. So where should we go? So, we're going to go to Cabo. So we did all expenses paid for, flew them and their +1, their partners out, the whole entire deal. And we had an absolute blast for 3 days, all expenses paid for, and spent 3 days together out in Cabo San Lucas. We have so many amazing memories from it. So then they said, okay, what are we going to do for the holiday party? So we're like, okay, what do we want to do for the holiday party? And we're like, what's some amazing experiences we can do? How about we all go to Las Vegas just one night, and we have an amazing, 5-star dinner, 5-star steak and everything, and then go out and have an amazing time watching an amazing concert and everything. And we decided to do that and brought all of our partners out there too and celebrating that. And man, it just goes to show though that, you know, the more you care about people, the more you get back, because I have more fun doing that with everybody than I do just doing it by myself. Like, you know, it's so much more fun when you do it with the people that you get to work with every day that eventually become family in that way too.
I feel you. I have the same thought when you know, you must have gone to the Inc. 5000 gala, right? I went there a couple of years, and you know, the thing is not cheap. It's quite expensive, so I go there by myself, and I always regret it though, because it's like, you know, it's like, okay, I'm here by myself celebrating. I really wish my team was here. I wish it wasn't so expensive that I couldn't afford to have my whole team there. But yeah, like I would have really liked to share that experience. So yeah, I think where you choose, you know, it's a great form of leadership. It's a great signal trait of leadership that you care so much. And even though this is, you know, an expense you bear, but it's well worth it, because it's you know, for your people.
So it's funny because my my girlfriend, my partner and I, we were talking about this just the other day, that, you know, it's almost as if you compare it to being single in a relationship compared to being married in a relationship or in an actual relationship together. When you were single, you didn't have to tell anybody where you were going. You didn't have to say, like, check in, you know, when you went somewhere without them or anything like that. You didn't have to do any of that stuff. You didn't have to worry about how someone else's feelings were gonna be or what's going on with them or anything like that. And then when you're in a relationship, it's more not about you anymore. Now it's about the relationship. You got to check in with the other person. You get to do things together. And it's so much happier, even though there's more work to be done. It's so much greater because you get to enjoy it together, and you're so much more powerful together compared to just one person. That, you know, I think there's some people that think, you know, if they just stay self-employed, they're the one-man show or the one-woman show, and they just build a business as a one-man or one-woman show. Sure, they could do well, you know, they'll do okay for themselves, but then they're the ones that have to do all the work all the time.
Right.
And if they want to achieve something great, they're going to have a great team behind them. And with a great team comes great responsibility too, because now it's no longer about me. Now it's more of, I get to learn about each and every single person that's on this team. Now, especially now we're about a year after, or now we went through a pandemic for about a year or so. And during the pandemic, you know, I told the team, I was like, you know, I'm never going to forget anybody who's on this call right now. We do all of our Zoom meetings. We're all completely remote now. And I said, I'm never going to forget you guys. Every single person that's part of this company, I'm never going to forget you for the rest of my life, because now going through this amazing time in history, every time we look back, we're going to remember these moments. And being able to be a part of people's lives, of seeing them get married, seeing them get engaged, seeing them have their first kids, buying their first house, getting out of debt, and knowing that you had just a small little piece to do with that, it's so much more fulfilling than building a $30 million company or building a $100 million company. I get more fulfillment from that with our team than I do of just the numbers that we achieve.
Yeah, when they
so awesome.
able to do something with it. Yeah, no, I have similar stories when we were able to send an employee, you know, I knew that they were a traveler and there was a project in Italy, and I was able to send them, you know, it's like a win-win, right? Okay, they wanted to travel. We got a project in Italy. Yeah, I could have gone and taken it myself, but then it's like, no, I'll send them, and they got some enjoyment out of it. They got.
How cool is that? That is so awesome.
Yeah. Cool. Well, tell us a little bit about the business. We've been talking about the culture, which I think in, you know, the audience's mind right now, it's like, this is a great pitch. This is a 1 long hour pitch to work at this company. You know, you're going to get a lot of applicants after this.
We are looking for great people. Always A players is what we're looking for to take us to the next level for sure.
Send me the job description, and we'll post them in the show notes, and then we'll work out a referral fee. There you go.
There you go. I like it. I like it.
But yeah, tell us about the company in terms of the business. Who do you serve? Like, And frankly, I'd love to learn from you about,
Sure.
how to do internet marketing, lead generation, and stuff like that, and and copy.
Absolutely. So in starting the business in the very beginning, so just in general, we serve universities and colleges all across the US. So what we do is we generate prospective students for universities and colleges all across the US, whether they're online schools or campus schools. Their biggest cost is enrolling more students. So what we do is we look at their marketing and how they're handling their marketing right now, and look at how we can cut their marketing cost to enroll students in half. And the way that we do that is through our various different marketing techniques. One, obviously, is utilizing social media and the power of social media, because a lot of these universities and colleges have been around for years, decades, and centuries. The challenge is a lot of the people that are at the head of these universities, they're still scared of using Facebook. They're still scared of using Instagram. They look at it as like, that's where my kids are. That my kids use the TikTok stuff. My kids use Snapchat. My kids are on Instagram. That's not something that I'm on. So they think, why are they going to market in areas that are on platforms where their kids are? But in reality, you look at it, what's the age of the people that are actually enrolling in universities and colleges?
Their kids.
Most likely it's their kids' age. So we talk to them about that and convince them by just the numbers, where we show them the numbers, where we get a test run going for these universities and colleges. And once they start seeing the numbers of what we're able to produce in terms of people enrolling and starting, and the percentage of people enrolling and starting at a low cost for them, then they see the value of it, because they're used to going to trade shows, to conferences, recruiting students across the table at a conference, or recruiting students through billboards or through ads on TV or something, but none of that is measurable. Everything that we do is completely measurable. So we're a performance marketing company, which means we're incentivized by our performance. So our performance is on the line every time that we do it. So we mainly do it through social media. We also started our own contact center as well, where we verify a lot of the prospective students that are interested. We make sure the info that they had submitted on our landing pages that we created is all verifiable, it's all correct, before we send their information on over to the prospective school that may be interested in them and having the programs that they're looking to study. So we like to compare ourselves as like the Yelp of education services. So just like when you go to Yelp and you type in looking for best restaurants in the Bay Area, you come to our site, you say best programs in game design, and we'll give you the results on, here's some of your options and school options. And based on those options there, they can pick and choose what schools that they're looking to request info from. And then we send it off from there.
Nice. And it sounds like the business model, the way you explained it to me, you take on all the risks, right? Because it's performance based, so they don't pay you unless you get the lead. Mm-hmm. So you take on all the risks there.
Yep, exactly. So when we first started, started the company with like $300. I didn't, I'm a college dropout. I grew up on the east side of San Jose. I'm not very educated when it comes to VC money, venture capital. I didn't know anything about that. All I knew is that a business makes money, a business makes profit, and I need to make this business make profit as soon as possible. So the best way I knew how to do it was that I had friends who were affiliates, but I also had friends who were clients. So I said, if I can be the middleman where my affiliates, they've got the money to spend on marketing. My clients, they've got the money to spend to capture more prospective students. If I'm the middle person, maybe I take a small little cut and then be able to have my cash flow running and have enough cash flow saved for about a couple years to when I can start doing this myself and start teaching other people to do it on our team to do it. So that's exactly what we did, is we built up our cash flow to where we can start spending money ourselves and doing the media buying ourselves and generating the leads ourselves without relying on any third parties or anything whatsoever. So the way that we're compensated from the schools is based on how many prospects that we send on over to them. So they call that a lead. So one prospective student would be a lead, and then they pay us on a per lead basis. So we take on the risk of spending the money and then getting paid like 30 or 45 days later from them. And they're also taking on the risk by giving us the money to spend and saying, hey, you need to have at least 6% or 8% of these people that you're sending on over to us convert over into an enrollment. Then that's when it's going to back out for the university and college. And that's what keeps them buying every month, which is why our enrollments and our starts, that they like to call it, our quality is what they would base it off of, is about 4 times higher than the industry average, which is why we continue to grow more and more.
I'll double click into that. What makes your quality 4 times better? What is your process that makes your leads better?
So we have built out technology and a proprietary algorithm. So that way, when people do searches, they get relevant options for them, the most relevant options for them. So we work with colleges and universities all across the US. And we also market to prospective students all across the US. Now, a prospective student that's maybe in Florida wants a specific type of program that they're looking to study. And we do a lot of behavior analysis on the data to make sure that we're only showing ads to people that are most likely to go on to enroll and to start. So a lot of data science is behind it, and our algorithms do a lot of the work. So we have proprietary algorithms that we've worked on in our technology to make sure that whatever gets sent to the universities and colleges, their intentions are very high. The prospective students' intentions are very high to go on and enroll and start with that college.
Well, your team sounds a lot more sophisticated than however many years ago when we last caught up. But how big is the team now?
So now we have over 20 full-time employees and over 20 contractors as well too. Wow. So yeah, like a team of 40. Now we're all spread out across the US. Previously, before, we were just Silicon Valley, and that was very costly, and the cost of living here in Silicon Valley is pretty high. So we're so thankful for, and it's kind of maybe weird to say that because, you know, during the pandemic, a lot of people got hurt, a lot of businesses didn't do so well as well, but the pandemic's been very good for us because it changed the way that we look at our hiring, that now we can hire someone in Missouri, we could hire someone in Pennsylvania, we could hire someone in Connecticut, we could hire someone in Florida, and span and find great talent that isn't just specific to Silicon Valley, where we're competing with a Facebook or a Google or like these big oracles and such too. We're competing for the same talent here in the Bay Area. But now that we can go all across the US, it's been great that we found even better talent in various different states that are all around too. So it's been great for us because it's allowed us to expand our team, and it's allowed us to work much more like professionals. That, you know, I feel like the past maybe 3 years have been more of us getting to senior year of college, and now we've graduated college and we're ready to go into the pros. And now we're in our pro year. We're like, we want to bring on more pros. How do we get more pro head coaches involved? How do we get more pro managers involved? How do we get more pro quarterbacks involved on the team too? And that's the type of culture and environment that we're really creating now.
Yeah. Well, you've experienced a lot of success that you probably didn't have experience for. How have you been able to grow into this role of leadership that you didn't have prior experience?
That's a good question, because when I think back at it, I think it definitely has to do with mentorship and reading the right books as well. And also having my core principles and core values in place. So my core values, I believe in the 5 F's, which I call faith, family, finances, fitness, and fun. And I keep everything in priority in that order. So having faith in my life knows that every challenge that I hit, I know that things are going to get way better than where they were before. Every adversity becomes a blessing as long as you look for it. So that's helped me in my leadership to grow as a bigger leader, to handle greater challenges and greater adversity as a leader, but also being around other people that have amazing core values that also think even bigger than I'm thinking. where, when I talk about us doing 30 million revenue as a company, when I talk about this, some people are impressed by it. And then I get around some other friends who are like, okay, that's good. We do that in a quarter. How do we get you to do that in a quarter? I've got a great coach that I work with now as a business coach. He runs a half a $500 million company in the same industry that we're in, and publicly traded now and all that good stuff. And he's like, reports his numbers over to me after I'm like, I'm so excited, we're about to do a crossover, like 3 million, all this different stuff for the month. And then he
That's
goes,
his rounding
that's
error.
cool.
That's cute.
And he was like, are you talking like to the bottom, or is that top line? And I was like, oh, yeah. And then he gives me his numbers, and I'm like, okay, it's time to go bigger. It's time to go bigger. So I think proximity is power. And the more I get around people that are thinking big and doing big things and going bigger and making something greater of their life, the more I realize it's just a small little tweak. It's not like some glorious, huge tweak. It really is a small little tweak in thinking. And the more that I get around big thinkers, the bigger that I get. So my goal now is like, how do I get around more people that are thinking bigger than I am? How do I get around people and asking? I love to ask a lot of questions. I'm 110% humble enough to ask lots of questions to every single person that I come in contact with, that I got to think even bigger than I'm thinking now. And our reality is shaped by the way that we think. If I'm thinking big, my reality is going to be big. If I'm thinking small, my reality is going to stay small. And I think a lot of times when we start seeing some success that we've never seen before, we want to hold on to it and protect it as much as possible, rather than saying like, all right, that was good, but then how do we go to great? How do we take that from good to great? And going from good to great, it's going to come with its adversity and come with its challenges. And that's where my core values come in, where I know like greater the challenge, greater adversity, the greater the blessing that's about to come. And believe me, there's always adversity that I have to deal with every day. But I look at it like, there's good stuff that's coming. I'm so glad that happened. I'm so glad I went on food stamps. Thank you. I'm so glad that happened with that employee. Thank you. Because now we're a pro team. Now we're not going to play loose anymore. We're playing everything tight. We got to be a corporation now. We can't be doing this small little startup stuff anymore. We got to be a corporation now. We got to start thinking bigger, acting bigger, and executing bigger. And man, that just expands my thinking when I get around more people that are thinking like that, and makes me feel small a lot of times when I get around someone running a $500 million company.
For as long as I've known you, you've always had a very positive attitude around things. Like you said, when I first met you and you were just moving off of food stamps, I don't think I even got a clue. You hide it so well, or maybe, due to your being just a positive person and looking at it as from a positive. That's a very admirable trait. Like I, for example, struggle. I don't quite wear my emotions on my sleeve, but if something's really bothering me, people can usually pick up on it. Mm-hmm. And I think a good leader, exudes positive energy and positive vibes, and I think the people feel it, and the people can say, oh yeah, this guy's gonna get me through.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like, so it's funny because we're doing a book club later on this afternoon as a team. One of our core values as a company is personal growth. So every month we like to do book clubs, and we're reading a different book all the time. We're transitioning it a little bit this month to doing TED Talks. We're going to review 2 TED Talks. One of the TED Talks is from the Seattle Seahawks quarterback, Russell Wilson, where he says, if you think negative and you are negative 100% of the time, I can tell you this, it will work 100% of the time. It works because you'll get negative back, and it's going to work 100% of the time.
And what I definitely knew was this, that negativity works 100% of the time. Negativity was going to get me nowhere.
So why not be positive? Why not, or even just stay neutral? Don't be negative and don't be too positive. Stay right in the middle where you can keep your cool through everything. You're not too high on the highs, not too low on the lows. You stay right in the middle where everything is good. So that way, you come out of everything. But it's funny that you said that, because it takes work to be positive. I got to work on it every day. I learn more and more about myself every day on the little habits that I do, the little things that I do. Realize, like, you know, waking up in the morning, if I check my phone first thing in the morning, it's a little bit harder for me to be positive throughout the day because there's nothing but negativity that comes out of there too. If I check the news first thing in the morning, then my whole entire day is thinking of like all the crazy stuff that's going on in the world. So the more that I think about the positive, the more that positive things happen in my life. And I got to just change the mindset right away of like, how do I go into the positive? How do I go into the positive? And it's daily work, and it takes work. But I read a quote that I really liked a lot that just came to mind, that you got to be so positive that negative people don't even want to be around you. At this point, like my circle of friends is so small now that like it's a tight circle of friends, because the negative people, they don't want to be around me anymore because they're like, you're always so positive. It's too much for them. And that's great, because we want to filter those people out anyways. Stay away from me. I don't want negativity anyways. I don't need to know about like who died here. Like I know that there's bad going on in the world. Every day there's bad going on in the world, but I'm not going to focus on that. I'm going to focus on the good, because every day there's good going on in the world. But you're not going to hear that in the media. You're not going to see that in the media, but you're also not going to hear the bad from me. You're only going to hear positivity from me. So you got to be so positive that negative people don't even want to be around you. You know, where they feel it's just too much. Like, this guy's always positive all the time. I can't take it. I can't take it.
You made a little offhand comment that, you know, you have a coach who does way better than you. How do you recruit a coach like that, you know, who's like, you're doing your best, and you know your best is a rounding error? Like that is a coach anyone would want to have. So could you give us some tips on how to convince someone to kind of take them under your wing like that?
So I think it all comes down to being positive. Those people that are at those levels, like what I was just saying right now, it starts attracting greater people into your world too. It's going to filter out bad people, and maybe even some of those bad people you've known for over a decade, quite possibly too. But it makes room for the good people to come into your life. And that's exactly what happened with my coach, that I wasn't seeking out a coach, although in my morning and night affirmations, I always said that, you know, I have a coach that I meet with once a month that helps me and guides me to become a better version of myself. Every day and every night, I would say that as an affirmation, that like, you know what, I'm looking for a coach, but I'm not like actively like going and seeking them out, messaging different people and such too. Like the coach pretty much came to me, and he saw what I was doing, and he saw like what work that I was doing. And then he came to me and said, like, what's your why? Like, why do you do the things that you do? And he said, you know, I'm in a position right now where I need to do different things and new things. And I want to work with exciting people and people that are like going places and that have a positive attitude. I feel that from you. And I knew this person even before this, just through business relationships. We didn't have the type of relationship that we have now. It'd be like, okay, we'll talk maybe every 6 months or so. But as the conversation started happening a little bit more, and he started moving to this position, his company started going public, and he had a lot more free time. He said, you know what? I'm looking to coach maybe just 1 or 2 people, but I have to know what your why is, because I don't want to coach somebody who doesn't have a strong enough why, that just wants to make money. If somebody just wants to make money, then like, I can show you how to do that, but that's not what I'm looking to do. I want to make an impact. And that's how it kind of came about too. And I think, you know what also helps is also even just posting on your Instagram, just getting out there, letting people know that you exist. Like, even if it's just random posts that are out there, letting people know that you exist and spreading that positivity out there. I think that makes a world of a difference. And I didn't realize that until like I consistently started posting on my Instagram, just like what I was feeling at the time. A lot of the stuff is positive. So it's usually I'll kind of talk a little bit about like a story or like something, a challenge that I went through in the day. And then I'll just post it of like kind of the lesson that I learned from it, and posting it out there. That I think getting yourself out there a little bit more kind of helps attract the right people in too, because people can resonate with some of the messages. They're like, you know what? I feel exactly where you're coming from. That's exactly what I was feeling at this time too. And you never realize it, that like, man, sometimes I feel I'm the only one that really feels
No,
this
that
way.
it resonates. Those messages that you post resonate a lot.
Yeah, and that's when it starts happening from there. So I think just getting clear and specific on exactly what you're looking for in a coach. Do they have a good relationship with their wife or with their husband? Do they have do they make the amount that you want to be making? Are they at a certain level? Because I think when you get a coach that's maybe way too far ahead of you, let's say you just want to make 100 grand for the year, and you get a coach that's making $1 million a month, he might be too far ahead to for you to fathom and take in the things that he or she is going to teach you. That it's maybe better to get somebody who's at 500K a year, help you get there, and then grow a little bit more. It's
attainable. Otherwise, it's just too far away. Yeah, I get it.
Because he, even at this point too, he even has to slow himself down with me. He's like, I don't want to throw up all over you. Let me just give it to you in small little chunks. There's just little by little over the next year, we'll give you all of it, but little by little, because if I just gave you all of it right now, you'd be too overloaded and you wouldn't do anything at all. You wouldn't execute on anything. So yeah, I think that's key right there.
Well, thank you so much, Ruben. As we're wrapping up here, it's been a pleasure. It's been long overdue. I've known you for so long, and to kind of see your successful journey and see you happy, it was time to get your story told. Could you talk about, just as we wrap up, could you talk about some of your work speaking to the youth and stuff like that? And I know you give back to the community, so I'd like you to, anything you want to promote there.
Yeah, for sure. So I think one of the things that I've learned is that it's not really giving back, because giving back signifies that I took something away. I never took anything away, that it's actually just giving. And my biggest lesson that I've learned, and I wish I knew this sooner, but the biggest lesson that I've learned over the past 6-7 years has been that the more that I give, the more that I get. I used to always think like, okay, when I make $1 million, then I'll give away a lot more money. Then I'll give away $1,000 a week to church, or give away $1,000 a week to a nonprofit that I really enjoy. When I make that, then I realize that you're not going to make that until you actually start giving it away. Until you start giving your time away, then you won't get time back. Until you give away money, you won't get more money. It's like you have to give first before you get anything in return. So my giving is to that high school student that was sitting in the college that was me, or sitting in high school and thinking that, okay, the highest I'm going to make it is maybe be a manager somewhere, maybe at a Safeway or something like that. And then I'll really be good if I lived in a 2-story house on the south side of San Jose. Man, that would be my dream. And I'll feel that I've made it at that time. And, that's about as high as I can go. If I could even just graduate college, that would be absolutely amazing. Saving my 401k, that's great. There was nothing in my mind that was thinking I could build a business, because I never saw it in my family. Nobody in my family's ever built a business. Nobody in my family's made more than, 60, 70K a year. Nobody in my family has done anything that I'm doing now. So I never saw that whatsoever. Never saw it in my neighborhood. The wealthiest person in my neighborhood was a guy that was selling drugs. And so I knew that wasn't going to be an option. So when I go and speak to the youth, when I go and speak even here, and just giving my time away to other people, to nonprofits, volunteering at nonprofits and such too. Now we get our team involved in volunteering at nonprofits as well, and even gifting and all of that stuff, tithing and such too. It all comes from me speaking to that young person that was me back when I was 17 years old in high school, and saying man, I don't think there's any more for me than this. This is about the top that I can possibly get. So I want to speak to them and let them know that, hey, if this idiot who dropped out of college as a single dad, went on food stamps, moved back in with their parents in their 30s, did something with their life, I think you could do something with your life too, because you have way more talent than I ever would have. So you definitely have way more potential than what you've even tapped into. So that's really the message that I really want to give people.
Wow, what a great way to end. So thank you, Ruben. It's a pleasure to have you.
Well, thank you for having me on, Peck. Always good seeing you, man.